Hey Siri, give me directions to the Hilton downtown Austin.
Starting route to Hilton Austin.
3 hours.
South on Blaine Drive.
Shut up.
Then turn right onto Carrier Lane.
3 hours and 8 minutes. We'll be there in 2. So we're headed to Rooster Teeth Expo. Rooster Teeth has such a legendary background in gaming and entertainment. I mean, there were Red vs. Blue was one of the main series that Machinima ever featured on their channel. Machinima being such a big part of gaming entertainment on YouTube and pretty much all of gaming entertainment. So we have a partnership with them through the Eavesdrop podcast. So they invited us out to go do a podcast live. I don't know how many people are going to show up because the people that usually show up to these conventions are there for like all the Rooster Teeth, you know, people that are part of every single one of their shows. Their podcast is like on episode 1300 already. That's 1300 weeks of podcasts. Does that even make any sense? Don't check my math on that. But we have the Flycast back there, the rock stars. You got Maniac sleeping. You got Hitch super passed out. The team summertime lifestyle has gotten to him. He's a rock star.
We should get the Cracker Barrel, go in, eat, come out, and start driving again.
No, it's already.
It was supposed to start with one thing.
Yeah. Jump all but one games. Jump each T and remove it. Leave 1. You're a genius. Leave 2 and you're pretty smart. Leave 3 and you're just plain dumb.
On the go. Dude, I don't know how I just did that.
Did you really do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Do it again.
Yeah, let's leave that there like that. Alright, I went like boom. And I think I went boom and boom. No, did I do it like that? I think I messed up. Yeah, this was not it.
Man, you're
up.
just plain dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do it.
Time, y'all. Anytime.
Don't you come back? No. All right, on the road again. And I look, I'm like, oh!
Oh yeah, you want to sit? We're good?
Come on up and say hello, friend. How you doing, bro? In the back? Right? The front. You got it.
I like the shirt.
Thanks for stopping by, man. Anyway, so we just got back from our meet and greet. We're gonna go and rest. Hitch has been up for 35 hours, believe it or not. Maniac, 24 hours minus 3 nap. But nonetheless, that's what we're gonna do. At around 6 o'clock, we're gonna get back together. We're gonna meet down here. We're gonna get all dolled up. We're gonna have a nice dinner. And then after that, we will continue on our journey of RTX. Tomorrow, the podcast begins. Welcome to episode number 35 of the Eavesdrop podcast. Episode number 2 of the Eavesdrop Flycast. The second time that Nick and Manny. First time. Finished doing the panel. It was more of a panel than a podcast, which is super dope because we sort of got to incorporate the entire audience. All these seats were filled. I'm just kidding. But it was really cool. They had fun. They're still having fun apparently.
I'm so hyped for it.
Doesn't it make you just want to be more
important,
Flycast-ish?
Oh. What do you mean?
Like do more Flycast episodes?
Oh, are we using?
No, it makes me want to feel more important. Because imagine like doing that, but just like the stadium filled. It's pretty cool though.
It was cool.
Yeah, would you do it again?
Yeah.
100%? All right, anyway,
I was a little worried at first, but it turned out good.
So it would have been really easy for us to book a flight to come down here. It would have been like a 30-minute flight, but instead we chose to take the ride so we can have some bro time. All right, Turtle Wax channel. It's time to head back to Dallas. It's a 3-hour drive through bugs and stuff. The car's gonna be super dirty. All right, so we are super done with Rooster Teeth Expo. It was the first time that we ever appeared on a live panel or the Eavesdrop, or actually these guys too. So it was actually a little bit of an eye-opening experience because we thought we were gonna do a regular podcast like we always do, but we ended up doing way more than that, and it turned into a panel, an informative panel for the attendees, which was super dope because not often do we get a chance to interact with people who listen to the podcast on a daily basis or on the weekly basis. So them telling us or having questions or adding onto the show was super cool. It sort of reminded me of when Queen started to make the audience interact and be a part of the show. No, it's Ayo.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Well, the HECZ here, bring back with Sniper's top 5 plays.
No, it's like welcome to another episode of Sniper's Nest with HECZ. That was one of the coolest intros in the history, especially because it's animated. Anyway, what's going on, guys? Hector HECZ Rodriguez coming at you with a quick Q&A with the members of the Flycast podcast. They upload weekly, so make sure to check out the Flycast. I don't know why they're acting the way they're acting. On a road trip, here are some rules that you have to abide by. 1, and the only rule is that the strongest bladder determines the pit stops, not the weakest. Okay, that's rule number 1. But I wanted to take this little quick. So let me give you a little background as to where we're at. Right now we're heading back from Austin. We just attended the Rooster Teeth Expo. In fact, Maddie, why don't you give them a quick recap of what's been happening in the last, I don't know, 24 hours. All right, so I have taken close to, I can count them on one hand. I used to get car sick a lot as a little kid, and when I was in Mexico, I went to school in Mexico, we used to take a yearly field trip to New Mexico, to the white sands of New Mexico. And I don't have any footage from back then because cameras weren't invented way back then. But I remember clearly that kids...
Cameras weren't invented back then?
Abraham Lincoln was president.
So I wanted to ask these guys back here what the longest field trip or road trip it was that they've ever taken.
Scuff House to my house in North Carolina. 13-hour road trip. Did it 5 times. Bam.
Mine was just the Chicago to Texas move. When I drove the HECZ down here at $1.30 the whole way.
Yeah, what? It was a 12-hour trip. He got there at 9. Freak.
Who were you with? Were you with Aaron?
Yeah, I was with Aaron Create.
That's crazy. I could have paid, I think it was like $1,200 to ship the HECZ, but I'm like, Nick, I'll give you $1,000. How much did I pay you?
No, the reason I think you gave me $1,000, but the reason you did it is because it would have got there faster than if you shipped it.
Yeah, and at the time, we only had the wagon and the HECZ, so Jude would have had to. I don't know. We made it work. My first car that I can claim as my own was a 1997 Ford Explorer, and that thing lasted me all of high school. Well, I got it in 1997, so actually my senior year plus like the 3 years after that. And what's crazy about that vehicle is that I never, ever, 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 in those 4 years that I was driving it, gave it an oil change, and it was still running like a tank. It was crazy. What was your first car, Nick?
My first car was a 1987 Pontiac Grand Am.
Model T?
What, you know that car?
No. The Model T is the first ever car.
Oh, is that what Model T means?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So if someone talks about a car, I'm like, is that the Model T, the first car ever made?
Like if it's the first car.
Learn something new every day. But yeah, 1987 Pontiac Grand Am.
I love Grand Ams.
And it was, my grandma gave it to me. It did the job, but it broke down multiple times. The lights in it were bad. The lights outside of it to be able to see during the rain, couldn't. But I doubt.
What about you, Hitch?
What is it? Was it a 97? 1997 Chevy S10. It was a truck that I was taller than.
Was that the T?
The Model T? No, it's yeah. So it was light brown.
That's a good color.
Possibly the ugliest car I think ever.
Why do people get brown cars?
Because it was $1,000 and my dad bought it for me, so I drove it to high school.
My dream car is either a McLaren or a Lamborghini. Lamborghini is my #1 choice. The Ferrari California is my second choice. Right now I'm really into the McLarens, specifically the 600 LT. What is your favorite car? If you could have any car right now, snap your finger, you can have it.
If I could have any car right now, I'd probably have to go with the Lambo. If not the Lambo, the Bugatti. Probably the Rolls Royce. But if I really had to pick, it'd be the 1997 Mitsubishi Eclipse that Paul Walker drove in Fast and the Furious.
That's a good choice.
What about you?
Bro, when Fast and Furious came out, it hit different.
Yeah, it controlled your high school
rah, too fast, rah, too furious.
Bro.
If I could pick one car right now, it was the car that I discovered 3 hours ago. It's called the VW Buzz. It is basically.
Oh my God! The car you found 3 hours ago.
Listen.
He has it.
I have it pulled up. Listen. Why are you hating? Don't hate on my Buzz. It's basically the Scooby-Doo van, but it's all modernized and it's all electric. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be just Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Where
are you? I'm out here saving the planet. Take a surprise and ride on my thighs.
Whoa.
Who's your name?
Is that the Scooby-Doo theme song?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you?
Something.
I think it's Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Yo,
Where are you? Got a lot of work to do now.
Yes, that's it.
Yo, you know what's crazy is that I've watched all these American cartoons growing up, but not speaking English back then. Like, I made up the worst interpretation of what the song was. So right now, when you were singing that, I'm like, yeah, that's not how it goes. It goes something else. I'm not gonna repeat it because it's just too funny. But which brings me to another question. All right, so if you're going on a long road trip, do you usually plan your playlists ahead of time, or do you know or have an idea what it is that you're gonna listen to?
I'm strictly podcast now.
On a long trip or just every trip?
On a long trip, like a long road trip.
Like you put on an album.
Audiobook.
really. I haven't listened to an
Audiobooks are
audiobook.
the wave, man. Because then you get like 9 chapters deep and you're like, all right, let me just throw on some music. Then you throw on music for 30 minutes and you're like, actually, I am curious what he's going to do next in the story. And so then you throw on the next disc. Or I'm guessing people use their phones now to do that.
My road trip go-tos probably putting on an album. I listen to podcasts, but honestly, I would usually start an album I want to hear. Sometimes new, sometimes old, but I'll just play it from the beginning to the end. Like a lot of times I'll put on Bryson Tiller Trap Soul. A lot of times I'll put on a Drake album. Doesn't really matter which. Usually like one of his older ones. But yeah, I'll usually put on an album and just listen to it the whole way through. A lot of old Mobb Deep albums.
What I've started to do in the last couple of, call it, I don't know, 2 months, is that I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and I used to listen to music and then, you know, podcasts. And now, sometimes I'll just write in silence. And if I have, like, I'll mentally put myself in a position to where I'm giving a speech or I'm doing a panel where I talk to people, and I open up the dictation on the phone and I literally just talk into it so I can read it later and see like what sort of mood I was in.
Serious?
Yeah, I am.
The hell?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's usually when I have a panel or I'm gonna do a business talk around esports, I'll sit around in my car and I'll drive and put the dictation on and sort of imagine somebody asking me one question or one topic, and then I'll just spill everything that I have. I'll go back and read through it and then pick the highlights of what it is, and that's what I'll use for the basis of it.
I need to write down more stuff that I think. There's times where like I'll be thinking about like, oh, we'll have a optic meeting tomorrow, and I'll be like just thinking about but then by the time the situation comes, I'll end up forgetting about it. Like I need to start writing my sparks of genius thoughts down because they dissipate quickly.
All right, and then the last question, and then we more than likely are gonna end the video in a nice little musical sequence that lets you know that we're home safe and sound. If you can pick one person, dead or alive, to take a road trip from Dallas to Austin, totaling close to 3.5 hours to 4, who would it be? For me, it would be
3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Now you have to deal with the fact that maybe Jordan wants to listen to music, and then what are you gonna tell him? No. Let's see. In all reality, I would either pick the RZA or Jordan, and then just have a long conversation. It'd be fun for me, probably horrible for them, but it's an imaginative question. So I would say Jordan or the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan.
Mine would. One of them would definitely be Tupac. I don't know. Do we need 2 or just 1?
No, just 1.
Mine would probably be Tupac. Just because of how interesting of a person he was at so young, how so far ahead of his time he can be. Yeah, Tupac. Especially the 3-hour thing is like what hit me. Because if I had like a 16-20 hour road trip, I don't know if it'd be Tupac. But since I only got a little bit, I got to get all the knowledge I can quickly. Tupac.
Maybe Will Smith. Just because he's constantly changing with the times. So like you got old stories from his early career, and now look at him now, he's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
So probably Will Smith. I don't know.
I want to feel Tupac's energy.
All right, finally back from Rooster Teeth Expo. It was quite the experience. More than anything, it was good to not take a plane ride that was going to be 45 minutes and instead enjoy some time together with my friends, heading out to do and create some cool content as it was. It wasn't what we expected. It ended up not being a podcast. It ended up being a Q&A, which was even better because we incorporated the audience into the show, which was super, super good. Anyway, obviously, when you travel, there is bugs, and there are bugs everywhere. Look at this, man. Show them. Oh, super easy, actually. I'm gonna be here for a little bit as I clean this off. This is just the first application. After that, I have to bring out the other towels, the more soft, succulent towels that are gonna get this super cleaned up. But that's gonna do it for us for this video. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed the video, I do recommend that you guys subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.